Dear trading friends, today I have a super exciting video for you because we are going to look at the medium-term price targets both above and below us for Bitcoin and Ethereum. But before we get started, and I show you how I analyze this in detail and how reliable this method is, I really recommend you stick around until the end of this video. Let's quickly go through a few trades that I mentioned in the last videos and that I also executed. For example, here with Bitcoin we had a short position. I took partial profits and then it was closed at break even. The stop loss was triggered on the long position and the second long position yesterday hit the pump perfectly. Here I reached my take profit. That means I took a small loss here of 1 reward, but I was able to take 5 rewards here, and I also realized 2 rewards here. We have something similar with Ethereum, even if we look in here. I had a short position here, took partial profit from it, but my risk-reward ratio with this low still hasn't reached 1.2. So I haven't secured the position yet. It remained with the stop loss where it was. And this was then closed overall with a small loss. At the same time, however, I also went long here and was able to take out 4 rewards again. And here I took a second small stop loss, which means overall I ended up with a bit over 2 rewards in profit. Sui, here as well. You know this from the previous videos. I have the short position here, which is still open, not just the short position. I'm currently combining everything with trading bots, and I'll show you that briefly as well. But that's still running too. Here is a long position which was then closed at break even, and I will open another long position here as well. Solana looks very interesting at the moment because I actually have both a long and a short position open. This was my long entry. You've seen all of this in the videos. My take profit hasn't been reached yet. Down here, and then I went long again here. And this position is currently in profit as well. With the long position yesterday, I haven't marked it yet so you can recognize my symbols. I already took some profits here. But with the short position yesterday, I think it was somewhere around here, I also took some profits again. So I've taken a bit more profit everywhere. And everywhere the stop loss is already set to break even. That means no matter which direction it goes, I'm protected. Especially today with the interest rate decision. Then we also have Aave. With Aave, I didn't get the entry data. That's just how it goes sometimes. But I won't be executing that anymore now. So I'm letting you know about this position so that you are up to date. Why? Because we've made a new high here. Exactly in this case. So the last high, which was actually my take profit trigger, was reached here. And now that we have a new high, unfortunately, this 0.5 entry is no longer valid for me. It was triggered before, but I mentioned that in the video. That was in my last video where I showed it, but unfortunately I didn't get my entry anymore. Otherwise, we still have Link. Link is also looking very good again. Took profits here as well. But here again, I took partial profits. Took profits. I also didn't mark that on this reaction here because with this 0.5 entry, it worked out wonderfully. We entered, and here as well, I opened a position, then entered a second one into a long position here. And that one also hit its take profit. So Aave also worked out really well. Otherwise, there are no other trades open. At this point in time, all the others are still waiting until a bigger move actually happens. But if you're not familiar with everything I've drawn here, if it looks a bit too complicated for you, then I recommend you check out my playlist. Learn trading step by step to become a pro trader. Start with the very first video, the simplest trading strategy, and you're not using it yet. In that video, I explain exactly how I get all these sniper entries right on point, every single time. Of course, I also use stop losses. You can see all of this transparently here, and I show it in my videos as well. But overall, my risk-reward ratio is just so high that the stop losses are, of course, much lower compared to my profits. And just a quick bit of advertising. If you're not on Bitget yet, there's a link in the video description. You can get up to $8,000 deposit bonus plus a welcome package. And then there's a second link after you sign up, where you can also get an additional $200 in spot grid positions. You can claim a voucher and a futures position voucher as well, plus a 14-day VIP 1 trailing pass, which means lower fees. Anyone who has already signed up through my link can, of course, also claim this offer. And by the way, there's something else. This is going to be super exciting for trading in the future. Bots, PIONEX, here too you get a deposit bonus of up to $1,000 and just for registering and completing KYC2. In addition, you receive $50 as a grid trading voucher as a gift. But now, let's continue with the important part, why I'm actually making this video today. It's about target levels. So this video is really about looking at medium-term target levels. I've already marked them here, but why are these so valid? That's what I want to show you with a double confirmation. And it's important that you actually look at the chart neutrally. You shouldn't necessarily be permanently bullish or permanently bearish no matter what's happening right now. If the chart tells us like here that we have the possibility of a bullish structure break, where could the price go? Where can you possibly predict in advance? Of course, it's all based on probabilities, but these probabilities occur incredibly often. And how can you confirm this again? And that's what I want to show you now. I'm going to remove the pillar now. I'll take this out here, what we have in here, and now I'll just leave the bearish target level and the current interim bullish target level. And I want to show you a little something about that. Because how does this bearish price come about? How is this target established here? For that we need the Fibonacci trend, based FIB extension. If we draw that in now, I'll quickly draw it for you like this. And if you then go to settings, you could set it up exactly as I have it here, maybe take a screenshot, then you can copy it exactly. Otherwise you have the second video, the simplest method to predict price targets, but 99% do not use it. There I really show you everything in detail, how to approach it and how reliably it works. And if you might be thinking, okay, but how are just these lines supposed to predict where the price is going? I'll show you that with companies, with Solana and also with XRP. And for those who've been following me here for a while, you know, why did I sell up here? Sold Bitcoins. We simply took the long-term price target because overall Bitcoin is in a bullish structure. And for me in this case, in this bull market, it was such that I said, okay, we're up here now at this bullish price level. No, sorry, we need to take it slow here. Then you can see it even better. First rejection at the 1.414 Fibonacci, which is rarely used. That's where the first correction happened, and after that we moved higher and we moved into the next target level. And that's all there is to it. When do we use this? When we see that we have a structural break, and that's very important, not just drawing it blindly, but as we just saw, for example, in the daily chart and the 4-hour chart, let me zoom in again. We were in a nice upright bullish structure here. And as soon as this bullish structure here is broken and we see, okay, we're starting to break through our higher lows to the downside, then it's time to draw in the Fibonacci extension level. And that's exactly what I did here. I didn't do anything else, just so you can see that again. I'll delete this here. I've already saved it the way it's supposed to be. The last high to this structural break, low. And after that, where was our recovery high? That was exactly this one here. And then I drag this over here and then we can take a look at where Bitcoin actually went. And if we take this exactly to this candle high, then you'll see down here. If I go in here, you'll see that the first support zone is right at the 1.414 Fibonacci. And if you don't believe that, I can go right there. It was triggered on point down here as the first target level. And you'll see that 1.4.1.4. The target level is triggered very often, then support comes and it can then continue to go downwards. But just as well, there can also be a rejection, as I showed earlier. Then we had a correction and only after that did we reach the actual target levels. And that's something you should watch out for now. And what do we have at this point in time? Why are these levels here so valid? Because we've just broken through this exact structure book to the downside. Because we're now forming higher highs and higher lows. At the moment it's showing a bit of weakness. We'll see how things develop today. But really that's nothing more than this target level up here, which results from taking this last low and this high. Then the next higher low after that, and then the possible target level of the Fibonacci extension is displayed to you. So how could you validate this now to say, okay, is this even correct? We know, and it's important that you also recognize the Fibonacci entries just as I did here, as I showed at the beginning of the video where I also went long here. Now we can include the last Fibonacci level as well, because the first Fibonacci level we had here, if we look at it, we triggered it, and then we continued to go down and saw lower prices. But then we come to the next Fibonacci levels. Now let's include this Fibonacci level here just so we can take a look at it first. Here we see the very first 0.786, target level of the Fibonacci extension. Up here is the 101.435. At the same time, we have a rejection here at the 0.786 at almost the same level. So now we have this level here which overlaps very strongly. And now I want to show you something else. We have the next higher Fibonacci. If I include that now and look in here, if you place it exactly, here we did not reach the 0.5 up here. That means this could also be a valid zone. If I move this down here now, then we see that in this area here at 0.681, we could have a possible rejection, which is not far from these two levels here. So, and now for the worst case, if we say we really have a massive bullish rise. I'll include the last one as well, because when Fibonacci levels overlap to such an extent as you're about to see, then that could of course become interesting. And here you can see a level from me that I really see as a possible strong rejection zone, specifically between the 1.01 and 1.618, because here we have several Fibonacci levels that coincide, namely the 0.5, the 0.618, and the 0.786. That means this exact area here could become super interesting for a stronger correction into this zone. Of course, it's a larger area, but we're in trading. Things rarely happen on point. We'll see what exactly might play out there. But this would be a massive rejection zone that I would identify here. But we could see this continue. If we really get rejection there and continue to treat it as bullish and as support, then we come to the most valid level in my opinion, which I see next for the next massive major rejection. And now I'm paying close attention here. And now let's remove the smallest Fibonacci level we have here. And then I want to show you something. And notice this price zone, 108,900 US dollars. There we have the next triple confluence, which aligns so perfectly that for me it becomes a massive short level. You see the 0.786 here, you see the final level of the target label from the two extensions at 108,000. And at the same time as the overall correction level from the all-time high to the last low, we have the 0.618. And that means, are you really noting this price level? That makes it incredibly exciting. The area around 108,000 to 109,000 US dollars, because we could see a massive rejection here, which at the same time, if we just look at the price action, you can see where this level is, strong support zones, and before that, strong resistance zones. These were also the last all-time highs. And I can imagine that we might get another rejection here. And if in fact lower prices do occur, then don't forget one thing if we look at this again. We simply have a valid bearish price action, and we must not forget that. We are making lower lows and lower highs on a larger scale. And accordingly, I can imagine that things could continue like this should we really see lower prices. Of course, we will have to continue analyzing this in the future as well. Where are the liquidations and where are the next levels? Let's take a quick look at something similar with Ethereum so you can see it as well, specifically a different Ethereum chart, for example, the Kraken chart, just so you can also see the validity of what I mean here. We also had a structural change here if we look into it. This bearish structure was broken to the upside. What do we do when there's a structural change? We look for the low, the next high, and then go down. Where did we have the last low before the price went up? And you see what I did for it, it reached its price targets, it did nothing else. How can you enter perfectly? Once again, a quick summary of these lows. For these, if you use the Fibonacci retracement, the 0.5 entry was perfect and those were the target levels. But that's in the past. Now, of course, we want to look at the current point in time. That's what it looks like now. And for that, we would have to switch to the daily chart because it doesn't look quite as valid right now. I'll show it in the daily chart. There you can see everything a bit better. That was our last high. That was our new low. And after that, we go back to the last high. Ethereum has perfectly triggered these entry levels here. And what was so valid about this again? Because we've reached the target level, I can take my Fibonacci entry level, move it over here as well and pull it all the way up, and you can see here. We've triggered both the 0.618 entry level and the target level together here. That's also the reason why I already went long here at 4, as you can see here. This comes entirely from the correction level, and although I did take a hit during the drop here, down here I'm now in a long position, which is currently nicely in profit as well. That just shows you the validity of what we currently have, and at this point in time we have nothing else so that we can simply form a bullish structure here. And what could that look like? So that we had a high here and then a new low. And if you include the Fibonacci extension again, you can see where potential target zones might currently be. They are again in the 3,500 to 3,700 range. And here too we have possible rejection zones because from this high to this next low, we never triggered the Fibonacci. And if we look at that, the target zone lines up perfectly with the next bearish entries. And that's something we really shouldn't forget. We should keep an eye on it. And if you want to be even more precise, you can also take the last high here again. And also the complete low, you'll see in a moment what I mean again. That we simply have very valid levels here. From the target zone, from the major Fibonacci levels here at 0.5, showing that this is a very strong level. 1,809 0.5 Fibonacci entry, around 3,700 US dollars, where we also had support the whole time. We had something similar with Solana as well. With Solana 2, we've reached a target level at the current time. I want to show you that as well. Just a quick note, we had a structure break here and moved upwards. And if we leave out this dump here, we can see that Solana is currently exactly within this target level and is moving around here as well. And with XRP, nothing different has really happened except that we have exactly the same situation. Here too, from this last high to the low and then up to the next rise, with XRP we are also exactly in this target level zone at the current moment. And that's something you really need to pay attention to. Be sure to check out, I'm really recommending it to you, this video, the simplest method to predict price targets, but 99% do not use it. It will really help you because I give you tons of examples showing how valid it is. These are the zones where you can say you can enter here. Here's a small example again. Why was this here? For example, double. Why did I sell XRP here? Just so you can see it again. We had a bearish trend here, which then turned back into a bullish trend starting from this low. Up to this high, we had this correction down and look where we ended up. Right back in this target zone, which matched perfectly with my higher level target zone. And there, I only missed out on a few cents at the very top. I sold all my XRP, which turned out to be a good decision at this point in time. Of course, I'd appreciate it if you leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed to the channel. I do this regularly live in my videos, in the analysis videos, but also in the live streams, so that we can do these analyses together. I show how I open my positions, but in the future, there will also be a strong focus on trading bots. My test phase with the trading bots is running incredibly well with this Fibonacci system. You can see here with SUI, it's in a long position at 128%. Of course, it's a very small margin, but it's all just for testing right now. Here are completed trading bots. Ethereum at 183%, but I closed it here because they weren't even triggered in the first place. Then we have Link at 158%, Bitcoin at 174%, but there were also two stop losses, although they were not triggered at nearly 100% because the stop loss was actually set for almost 100% of the stake. Instead, due to the fact that a lot of grids were generated, you can see here I have 40% or rather 50% less stop loss than would normally have been the case. In this case, maybe leave a few comments as well and we'll see each other again next time. Ciao, ciao.